Friend Kellyanne Conway, former counselor to President Trump, president of KA Consulting, Fox News contributor, and author of a very good book called Here's the Deal. All right, Kellyanne, I'm just saying, our former boss is part of this mix. I'm exercising tough love. You taught me tough love, but really, I'm frustrated. They have an opportunity. The Biden economy looking worse and worse. And what are they saying about it, these candidates or wannabe candidates? I don't understand it.
So Joe Biden's the problem. Who's the solution? That's the big question to voters. And I believe, Larry, that the Republican primary contest is not best fought and won't be won on race or gender or generational change or age, for that matter. It's going to be won on he or she who presents the boldest and earliest economic plan that mirrors what Mr. Trump did in September 2016. There were 6 parts to it. It was cut taxes, cut duplicative, wasteful, onerous regulations, unleash American energy, get 4% annual growth, and cut government spending. Now, he also said in that speech, we're going to protect Medicare and Medicaid and people with pre-existing conditions. He was very clear about that. We're going to unleash school choice. But it was also the tone. We need our Republicans to say, growth is good, prosperity is popular. Opportunity, that is optimism. He called it an economic revival in that speech, Larry. You and I were there. He called it an economic revival in 2016, and he said, I will push back on the cynicism that we can't have more job growth. I'm going to break through the pessimism that our labor force can't expand. So it was very uplifting. It was very Reagan-esque, really, in its tone, but its content, it was ridiculed by all the right people. Remember Barack Obama saying you can't just wave a magic wand and create jobs and create growth like that? They ridiculed Trump, but the people heard him. I believe that Donald Trump's tax and regulation trade deal plan, American energy plan in 2016 is part of why he won the presidency. So let's do that again. If I were running for president of the United States, I would go to a key state right now, stand with small business owners who were let down through the lockdowns, who are still bleeding out, who are still suffering under the ridiculous government spending, Biden policies, all the unaffordability we see, that people are so upset about inflation. People think we're headed to a recession. It doesn't matter what economists think. If the people think we're headed to a recession, if you think inflation is making everyday life unaffordable, and just take it. Be surrounded by people from all walks of life and present your economic, optimistic growth, opportunity, and prosperity plan. Growth, opportunity, prosperity, GOP. Easy to remember. Free advice, folks. Take it.
That. But you're right. I mean, look, I don't even hear Mr. Trump say it. I don't hear Governor DeSantis say it. I don't hear the others saying it. They're bickering over this thing, like you said, age and gender and mental capacity. There's a lot of issues. I know Ukraine is an issue. I know the border is a gigantic issue. I get that. But the reality is it's going to be about peace and prosperity. It's going to be about growth and prosperity. And these guys are not talking. Look, Kellyanne, in the midterms, the Republicans were very critical of Mr. Biden, but they almost never had a solution. Like, look, I'm a supply sider. I'm a real simple-minded guy. I pitched in on that New York Economics Club speech, what is it? It's more than 8 years ago, 10 years ago. I'm just saying, cut taxes and good things will happen. Cut taxes, put some work requirements in, get yourself a sound dollar currency to stop inflation. You know what? More people working, more people working, even at lower tax rates, will pay more in tax revenues. Social Security won't go under if you're growing the economy at 4%, not 1, all right, less than 1 under Biden last year. How about 4? We've done this before in the past. 4% growth solves debt. It solves Social Security. It solves a lot of things. It solves happiness. People aren't happy right now. I'm losing it. I'm sorry.
People are very fearful and very frustrated. No, you're not losing it. You're winning it. Larry, people are fearful and frustrated. And just as we saw with East Palestine, you don't tell people what's important to them and when they feel pain and when they don't. They tell you. And Americans are broadcasting that very loudly and clearly. We need folks to respond in kind. Also, I don't know what people are waiting for. You don't wait to roll out a plan. You do that from the beginning, or you shouldn't be running for president, frankly. That is the nut of the Republican platform. And look, Republicans really need to reclaim the full mantle of fiscal sanity and responsibility, because we've lost that a little bit over the years. A lot of spending, a lot of pulling back on, I think, more muscular tax plan. I know what President Trump wanted to do in his second term, keep cutting those taxes, keep recalibrating those trade deals, and the pre-COVID economy really lifted all boats. But let's talk about it again. I think if you're running for president, it's my message to all of them and all of them who are watching and thinking of running for president, you can't just answer the question you're asked. You've got to take every opportunity you can to say, folks, everyday life is increasingly insecure and unaffordable. I've got a plan. I'm the solution. But, Larry, to your point about the midterms, Republicans need to finish their sentences. You can't just say inflation, gas, grocery, rent. You have to finish the sentences.
What are we going to do about it?
And you have to be specific and solutions.
Right. What common sense? You know what? This shouldn't be that hard, because we know
it's
from
actually
the past,
easy.
right? We know what needs to be done. They're just not saying it. They're worried about mental tests. A new generation. Look, Art Laffer comes on this show every week. He's 82. Art Laffer comes on the show. He's 82. He's the smartest guy in the room.
The man is in his prime. He's in his prime.
I know.
Art Laffer, Larry Kudlow are in their primes on Lamone. They're in their prime. By the way, Kamala Harris is much older than Nikki Haley, so I don't even know why one would ever say that she wasn't in her prime. But Art Laffer is prime. Hey, Larry, look, this isn't complicated. You and I are complicated people with simple ideas.
Yes.
And Washington is filled with the opposite. Very simple people with big, complicated, Byzantine ideas that they're so circuitous you don't even know what they're talking about. Let's not overcomplicate this. Biden has opened the door for somebody to run through it and say, here is the relief. People feel like they're drowning economically. Here's a pocket of air.
Yep. Kellyanne Conway, you are the best. And you and I we're going to exercise some tough love. No, we're going to exercise some tough love on our friends who are all running for president. God bless them, but they got to run on the economy. That's going to do it. You're right. Kellyanne Conway, everybody, terrific stuff.